Hi, I'm Dennis Phillips, and welcome to Everyday Reloading and Shooting. Welcome back. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to do something that I'm calling my powder shootout, in which I'll be comparing 6 of my favorite powders using a Hornady 52 grain boat tail hollow point bullet, and I'll be testing each of these doing a ladder run with velocities from 3,000 to 3,200 feet per second. In order from the slowest burning powder to the fastest burning powder, we'll be shooting CFE 223, Varget, H335, Accurate 2460, IMR 3031, and Accurate 2200. We will take these in order week by week, and we will post the results so you can see exactly which powders perform with these bullets. All right, so let's get on with it. Next up in the ongoing saga of the powder shootouts is one of my favorites, the IMR 3031 powder. Shooting a 52 grain boat tail hollow point bullet from Hornady. We'll be shooting from 22.9 grains of powder to 24.2 grains. And these again will be producing between 3,000 and 3,200 feet per second in velocity. All right, welcome back to part 5 of the powder shootout, and today we'll be shooting IMR 3031, which is the second fastest powder of the ones that we'll be testing today. And we'll be shooting loads from 22.9 to 22.4 grains of powder, which should produce between 3,000 and 3,200 feet per second in velocity. So we'll be shooting at 100 yards. As always, you're welcome to enjoy the music while I fast forward through my shooting, or you can skip forward to the results at the end. All right, let's get going. All right, so these started out shooting a little bit scattered, and then they began to tighten up, so let's bring them in and take a look. All right, so here's our first group. That looks like it's scattered at close to 2 inches, maybe 1 3/4 inches. They tightened up on the second group. We had a pretty good cluster here and a flyer off to the side here. Then we get to 23.9, and this would appear to be my best group. We've got maybe like a 1-inch spread overall from there to there with a flyer here, but I'm sure that's probably going to have the tightest mean radius. And then over here in the last group, we had 2 flyers here and here, but otherwise a pretty tight cluster right here. So we're at 24.2. The maximum is 25.5. So since they're starting to get tighter as we go that way, we may want to check those higher charge weights and see how those perform. All right, so let's take them home, measure them, and see how we did. All right, we're continuing with part 5 of our powder shootout, and this is with IMR3031 powder shooting a 52 grain boat tail hollow point bullet. And here's a picture of the target so you can see this all at once. So this is different from how some of the previous targets have shot, to where previously our best load started out at the beginning and then it began to devolve and deteriorate as the charge weights increased. This was a little bit of a mixed bag. So here, as with all of the others, we start out and we're shooting pretty much on center, and we'll look at these individually. And as we continue to shoot, the rifle begins to shoot more to the right, and I believe that's because of the increased charge weight and the torquing of that rifle. But we will look at these one at a time, and I'll show a close-up of the photograph of each group on the left side, and then on the right side over here, I'll show you the Hornady group analysis. So here, even though we started off kind of scattered, we ended up with two fairly decent groups over here. So to start off with, at 22.9, we're shooting at 3,000 feet per second. We're shooting 0.04 of an inch to the right of center, and we're shooting 1.16 inches high. And as always, we set the point of impact deliberately high so as not to destroy the point of aim, which is here. So in our first group, we had an extreme spread of 1.53 inches from here to here, and then we had a mean radius of 0.54. So this group is pretty well scattered, and of course we're shooting 10 shots, and when you shoot a larger group size, like a 10-shot group versus a 3 or a 5-shot group, you can always expect those groups to open up somewhat. Okay, so this red cross here that I've drawn on the photo represents my mean point of impact. So what this program does is it measures all of the shots, and then it figures an average of where those shots are hitting, and then it measures a distance from there to each shot, and then it averages the radius for those. And so even though we had a 1.53 extreme spread, we had a mean radius of 0.54, which a radius is half of a circle. So if you double that, you could say that gives you an average group size of 1.08 inches. So here we're shooting 0.04 of an inch to the right and just over an inch high from the point of aim. On our second group, we're pretty much dead on 0.05 to the left and 0.84 high. This is our average point of impact. And our group size, our extreme spread is from here to here, and we've got a 1.22 group, but we've got a mean radius of 0.41, which gives us an average group size of 0.84. So here at 23.2 grains and 3,050 feet per second. So moving on to group 3 at 23.5 grains and 3,100 feet per second, as the velocity increases and the charge weight increases, the rifle begins to shoot a little bit more to the right. So here's our average point of impact here. We're shooting 3,800 to the right and 7,200 high. We've got an extreme spread of 1.51 inches, but we've got a mean radius because we've got a nice little cluster right here, and we've got impacts here and here, flyers, but we've got a mean radius of 0.36, which if you double that, that gives you an average group size of 0.72. Then moving on to 23.9 grains of powder and 3,150 feet per second. This happened to be my best group of the day. Our average point of impact is right here in the center of this cluster, and we're shooting 0.46 of an inch to the right and 0.84 of an inch high from that point of aim. We've got a 0.93 extreme spread, which is from here to here. So on 10 shots, we've got an extreme spread of under an inch, and we've got a mean radius of 0.31. So you double that, and that gives you a 0.62 average group size. So that is by far my best group. The next group was pretty good too at 24.2 grains, a little bit higher charge weight. So our point of impact again continues to move to the right. So we're shooting 73 hundredths to the right of center and 63 hundredths high. So that barrel, as it begins to twist, is torquing further to the right and coming down. Okay, so here we've got an extreme spread of 1.21 inches, so just over an inch, but we have a mean radius of 0.33. So that gives us an average group size of 0.66. So the IMR3031 powder shot pretty well with the 52 grain boat tail hollow point, and our best group of the day was 23.9 grains of powder at 3,150 feet per second with an extreme spread of 0.93 and a mean radius of 0.31. So when you get a mean radius in the low threes like that, that means you're shooting pretty well. So at 0.31 or 0.33, that round is performing really well. So I definitely recommend the IMR 3031. Now we could go on a little bit further because the maximum load is 25.5 grains and we're at 24.2. So we will continue to develop this where we increase that charge weight and we go from 3,200 to 3,400 feet per second. And we'll see how that performs. But for this outing today, the winner is target number 4 at 23.9 grains with a 0.93 extreme spread on 10 shots and a mean radius of 0.31 inches. All right, so those are my results today. If you have any thoughts or comments, please leave those below. And I hope you will like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.